So we only have catchers, first basemen, and second basemen left. I'm going to do the catchers portion today. Tomorrow I'll upload the first basemen, and then the day after I'll upload the second basemen. After today, we will have a 100K stubs pack opening video up every single day. Now, if you're new here and have enjoying today's content, make sure you hit that like button and red subscribe button. Don't forget to also follow me on all social medias at BladeMist, and also make sure you pay attention to the community tab. There is currently a poll opened up where you get to decide whether or not you want to see me live stream first or do face cam videos first. Just click on the channel, click on community, and go ahead and vote. So we're starting off with Gary Sanchez, and before I even get into the catchers, I just want to let you all know that catchers are probably the worst hitters out of every single position that I've yet to go ahead and talk about. So let's start off with Gary Sanchez. He has a K percentage of 28%. That was last year. 49 vision makes sense. Probably deserves to be 45, but 49 will leave it. Walk percentage of 9. 71 discipline makes sense. 3-year average against left-handers is 233. 52 contact versus left. That's a bit high if you ask me. Slugging 505. 90 power versus left. That's also a bit high if you ask me. It should be low 80s. Now, versus right-handers, his average is 239. Contact versus right is 54. Definitely, like I said with the left-handed one, it deserves to be lower. And then his slugging is 492. His power versus right is an 88. Deserves to be high 70s, low 80s, but minimal 80s, like 80, 81. That's where it deserves to be. Does Gary Sanchez have a chance of going diamond? It all depends on his contact and how well he can basically play behind the dish. Now let's talk about Mitch Garver. So Mitch Garver's K percentage last year was 24.2, which isn't too bad. It's only 1.2% above the major league average, and he has 52 vision. So you can make the argument that either it should be exactly that or it could be a little bit higher based on Gary Sanchez's 49 vision. Now his walk percentage last year was 11.4, 80 discipline. That makes sense. Looking at his 3-year averages versus left-handers, his average was 279, 80 contact versus left. I say that's a little high, should be middle 70s. Slugging 520, or not 520, excuse me, 531. Power at 90 versus left. That makes 100% sense. Now, average against right-handers, he hit 262, 62 contact versus right. That's why I say that contact versus left should be middle 70s, because he's only down 10 points in terms of average, and in the game, it's an 18-point differential between his contact versus left and contact versus right. Now, his slugging versus right-handers is 501, 88 power versus right. That also could be toned down a little bit, maybe to middle 80s, but that's fine, because Gary Sanchez has the same number and his slugging is near. So for catchers, they probably have a different criteria, or how they measure them is a little bit different than how they do with other players. But it shouldn't matter in terms of attributes. It should only matter in terms of tiers, because of how they rate first basemen solely based on hitting, and then how they rate players like catchers and shortstops based on their defense and hitting, I should say. Now let's go on to the next one. Oh, and if Mitch Garver can go diamond, once again, just like Gary, depends on his contact, and his fielding definitely needs an upgrade. Heading into the 2019 season, Willson Contreras was one of my diamond candidates that never went diamond. He had a good first half. Second half, he just died, basically. So his K percentage last year was 24.9%. Not too good. That's why it's a 54 vision in the game. And then his walk percentage is 9.3. He has a 74 discipline. That makes sense as well. So his vision and discipline both make sense. Now his contact against left-handers is 279. He has 84 contact versus left based on what they gave Mitch Garver. That also makes sense. And then his slugging against left-handers is 520. So 75 power versus left. That makes absolutely no sense. It should be a 90, just like Mitch Garver and just like Gary Sanchez have. Now, his attributes versus right-handers and 3-year averages against right-handers, he's hitting 260, and his attribute is a 64. There's a 20-point differential in his contact versus right and contact versus left, which should not be the case in my opinion. He should have either A, his contact versus left lower, which is most likely what he needs to have, or B, his contact versus right higher. Then his slugging against right-handers in the previous 3 years has been 449. Listen to that, 449 as opposed to 520 against left-handers, and he has a higher power versus right than he has against left. That makes absolutely no sense either. Now, I do believe that Wilson Contreras does have the possibility of going diamond. He's not a bad defender. Don't really know why his fielding is so low, but I believe that he definitely is one of the candidates to go and make the jump, especially at catcher, from gold to diamond, especially if he has an insane year. Next up is Yasmani Grandal. Now, Yasmani Grandal, looking at his numbers and then looking at his attributes, I don't know what it is. I just think that they juiced up catchers, and that's where I'm going to leave it at. They juiced up their attributes just so they could have some golds, because all of these golds, they deserve to be silvers. And even JT, even though he's a diamond, he honestly deserves to be a low tier gold. And that's just me being completely honest with you all, based on how they rank all the other players and their attributes based on their 3-year averages. So Yasmani Grandal, 22K percentage, 52 vision, makes sense. 17.2 walk percentage, 114 discipline, that also makes sense. 3-year averages against left-handers, he's hitting 236. How he has a 63 contact versus left doesn't make sense to me. It should be low 40s. Slugging 440. How does he have an 80 power versus left? That absolutely makes no sense either. 440, that is atrocious power numbers. Tommy Pham has 469. Mookie Betts has around 500. And Yasmani Grandal has better power versus left than both of those guys. Then we look at his averages against right-handers. Average against right-handers, 247. 58 contact versus right. That's also a little bit too high for 247. Slugging versus right-handers, 473. Listen to that. He has a higher slugging against right-handers than he does against left-handers, and his power versus left is higher than power versus right. How, like, you crunch up the numbers and you put them into the computer. I don't know how they calculate it. Like, I can't even fathom. I don't even know. I'm speechless, honestly, looking at these numbers for catchers. These guys do not deserve to be golds. They deserve to be high-tier silvers or very low-tier silvers. And some of them, honestly speaking, they deserve to be bronzes. Like Gary Sanchez is probably a 74 overall, speaking realistically. But I don't know what SDS is doing. So let's finish it off with the only diamond catcher that we have from the live series players. JT Realmuto, 20.8K percentage, a 65 vision, I'll agree with. Walk percentage, 6.9, 53 discipline, I agree with as well, because that is an atrocious walk percentage. Last year, the average was, I believe, 9%. Let me even scroll up in my stats that I have written down. It was an 8.5 walk percentage, the league average, and he was at a 6.9. I don't know what it is about these catchers. They just don't like to walk, but they like to strike out a lot. And basically the only thing they have is defense, and then half of the players I named, they don't even play the position as well in terms of defense. Now let's look at JT, 3-year averages. Average against left-handers, 257. Contact versus left is a 69. It should be low 60s. Slugging, 467. Power versus left is a 65. But Yasmani Grandal is hitting 440 in terms of power versus left-handers and has an 80. And JT has a 65. Now JT's number, that is realistic. He does have the correct power versus left. Now let's look at his contact versus right. Average, 283. 72 contact versus right, 100% makes sense. Slugging, 478. 61 power versus right doesn't make sense because he has higher power versus right in the previous 3 years than he does against left-handers. So how does he get a 61 power versus right and a 65 power versus left? I don't know. So we're both in the same boat where we're looking at these numbers and saying it just doesn't add up. Half of these guys, as I said, JT should be probably an 81. Yasmani Grandal, a 79. Wilson Contreras, probably a 77. Mitch Garver, a 75, 74. Gary Sanchez, a 75, 74. And that's just me keeping it as real as I can. If you did end up enjoying today's content, make sure to hit that like button or subscribe button. Don't forget to follow me on all social medias, and I'll catch you all in the next one.